So as I said, this is all for you guys, this monthly huddles where we connect and talk about maybe those burning questions. Hey, Roger, how are you? Gordon, rather. Gordon, sorry,
Hi,
I called you
that's all
Roger.
right.
Oh, I had a moment. Where we ask questions, things that are kind of keeping your chapter up at night, maybe some struggles your board is having. So is anybody coming with any specific concerns this month? Nothing? Everyone's here just to talk to hear what everybody else is talking about, right? Then I'm going to start with a couple subject matters that actually were posted in the Insight community, and I'll still keep it open as people are popping in. If you have comments, thoughts, want to talk about, just put them into the chat. Somebody in Illinois Art, the president there, asked about charities and what charities chapters are working with, how they're working, their funding. So I just wanted to, that was a unique question that we hadn't talked about in a while, or someone hadn't questioned. So I thought maybe we just open it up and talk about what everybody is doing with charity work in their local chapters, if any.
So Jen, this is one place that I think West Virginia really shines.
Yes.
So I can just kind of tell you guys what we do. Our goal is, of course, we have our chapter meetings every other month, and we try to align an outreach program for every chapter meeting. And so we kind of talk amongst ourselves and just pick. Somebody might have a connection to a charity, or we may just come up with something random. And we work a lot with the local food banks and the Ronald McDonald House, and we do Wreaths Across America. And I kind of talked about this before, but we try, like I said, we try to do one initiative every other month. And so like this past initiative that we did was birthday cake bundles, and we collected all of the things that you would need for a birthday cake and a birthday party. We packaged them in a cake pan, balloons, tablecloths, all that kind of stuff. And we were able to make, we're just a very small chapter, but we were able to make like 25 different kits. And we donated those to the Boys and Girls Club, where they have a direct connection to the kids. So they know when the birthday is coming up, they can reach out to the parents and be like, hey, we have this stuff you can help your kids celebrate. This month we're cooking a dinner at the Ronald McDonald House as a chapter. We always do the Wreaths Across America every year at the veterans cemeteries in December. We do that as a chapter every year. And we don't, like I said, we don't really have like a set amount or a set charity that we work with. We try to identify the need in our community at the time. Yeah. And we go that route, and we try to just, even if it's not like money or stuff, we donate the man hours. So we just kind of talk about it as a group, and do the outreach that way. But we do at least 6 outreach or community volunteer projects every year.
Wow, that's
awesome.
awesome.
One thing, even as we've struggled as a chapter, that's one thing we've always done. That's always been a priority for us. So.
Kelly, let me ask you a question, because this was one of the questions that was a follow-up, or somebody specifically said that I thought was unique. If you're giving of your time, that's one thing, but if anything else comes with a financial dollar amount to it, does the chapter ever contribute itself, or is it your individual members that do the contributing?
For us, it's the individual members. We don't contribute as a chapter. Now we will do, at Christmas time, we adopt Secret Santa, and the members all donate the money, but we make the donation. We write a check from NIGP. So we technically do, but the chapter itself doesn't. And part of that, honestly, Jen, is because our chapter is just financially
Sure.
in good
Well, it was
standing.
interesting. I was seeing and getting some feedback that it's never a chapter donation itself. The chapter doesn't contribute. It's just that they house or funnel what's happening. And I was just curious of what others would do. We've had a lot of more people join in here, and we didn't have any specific questions that anybody had brought at the top of the hour, but I was commenting or talking or opening the conversation up about a post on our chapter leaders insight community about charity work and what the chapters are doing within their charities. And Kelly was just talking about what they do in West Virginia, which is actually quite a bit, up to 6 a year, which I think is incredible. So I would like to open it up to maybe some other chapters on what you do with charity work. How I know one of the big questions that Illinois wanted to know is how you're processing that money. Is it links directly to charity website? So I'd be curious with what other people are doing.
Hey, this is James at the Central Gulf Coast chapter. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Hey, so we have a really good success story that we recently held a charity golf tournament, and so we called it annual Pars for Procurement Golf Classic, and so this was held at our Blackwater Golf Course in Crestview, Florida. Um,
Yeah.
the Yeah, so this was really good. The golf classic, it benefited the chapter, but of course it was supporting the EOD Warrior Foundation.
Okay.
And I just wanted to mention that because it was the first one I've been involved in as a chapter leader, but I was not at all instrumental in setting this up. We had Wes Pavlik, who made an extraordinary effort, and so many kudos to him for and others for volunteering. I think we had about 8 folks that volunteered the entire day for the tournament, and it was a full blown tournament, and we had a really good success with it. So it helped our military communities with EOD Warrior Foundation. This is really great. We're looking forward to doing another one.
And all the money raised went directly to them, correct?
Yeah, I believe obviously the operation expenses and such
Sure.
that came out of it, but everything that was left went to the foundation.
Did it come by sponsoring holes, but from agencies? How did the money actually come in?
That's exactly right. So there were many different like the longest drive and closest to the hole, and I think we had about 7 or 8 different types of fundraising for different parts of the game, and we had sponsorships as well. So we had signs that we would place on the greens and things like that. So all in all, I mean, there were probably 12 different ways that in that tournament that we could raise additional money, like longest putt or longest drive, and we had donated prizes, some extraordinary prizes like golf clubs and such. So it was just a great success. I could show. I got a flyer on my screen. I don't know.
James, I'd love if you'd send me your flyer so I can add it to the resource guides. Some chapters have delved into the, a golf tournament type of thing. I know Ohio has done it, and I know as Tampa has done it. There's always that question about the value. Did you get your money's worth or versus the amount of time that volunteers put into that? Do you know approximately how much you may have donated to your charity?
I do have that information, and I can send it with the flyer because I don't want to say a wrong amount, but I do know that I do have a number.
Okay, it would be curious because for those who maybe
Yep.
want to dive into something like that, it just would be nice to know what they could expect. Anything you can give about the planning of that would be nice, James. Thank you.
Absolutely, sure.
Anybody else have any charity type things that they want to share with the group?
Yeah, Jennifer. South Jersey at Christmas time, we have a Toy for Tots thing where you come to the meeting and you bring a toy, and we split it up between a couple of different counties. And we also do a food drive. Once again, people bring food in and we split it up amongst them.
Okay. That's usually the most popular I see is time or a tangible item like a food bank or a toy, something that's most common to see. Anybody else have any that they want to share?
I can tell you what the Tampa Bay area chapter does each year is during our planning, we select a meeting in January, a charity. And every other month when we have our meetings, luncheon meeting, we sell 50-50 raffle tickets that usually net somewhere between I would say $200 and $300, and we split that. The winner obviously getting the draw gets 50%, and the 50% goes into our charity fund. And then sometimes once or twice a year out of those 4 or 5 meetings, someone will just say, I don't want the money, keep it all for the charity. You just have somebody do that. And
Sure.
very nice. We don't expect anybody to do that, but they will do that every now and then. And we also have budgeted, I think it's $1,000, Jen, and in our budget that we supplement that with. So we start with $1,000 in our budget. Then we do that 50-50. And then if it's a children's organization, or say like last year it was a humane society kind of place with pets and everything. At our December meeting, we invite a representative of the charity come and tell us how they're doing, what they're doing, and how they're help supporting the community with the charity. And we bring things in. People bring in. They get a raffle ticket for prize drawings as they're coming in for big bags of, like this last year, dog food or treats or all kind of things that the charity can use. And we donate those, and they do the big check ceremony at the end of the luncheon, and they get somewhere around $2,000, $2,500 that we send them away with, plus a lot of nice little parting gifts. So we do something like that every year with the Tampa Bay area chapter.
Just one question, and Tabitha's got her hand up. When you select a charity, are you as a board selecting it? Are you allowing your membership to throw in charities? How is the charity actually selected?
The board is, as I recall, this last year who did it. We, maybe the president suggests the one they would like to, give to that year or whatever. And we do switch it up every year though. We've done those wounded warrior kind of things that like James was talking about, and children's homes and those kind of things. So we do a different one every year, and then presentation in December, big check ceremony, and we combine the money with what was budgeted as well.
Okay. Thank you, Joe, for sharing. I appreciate that. Tabitha?
Mhm.
You're on mute, Tabitha. And while Tabitha's working on her audio issues, anybody else? There's a couple of things in chat here that people are doing some things very similar. Okay, good. Thank you guys for sharing that. Since we had several people come in after we started, did any of those who came in late have anything specific that they wanted to bring to the group? A question, something that keeps them up at night, the chapter struggling with as a board, anything like that they wanted to share or talk about? Tabitha?
Hi.
Hi, there you go. Now we can hear you.
I'm sorry. So what happened is my computer completely froze. I'm like, I can't even touch buttons with you guys on. I'm like, fantastic. And my hands raised. I wanted to go back to the community services initiative that you guys were talking about. So our chapter we have a community services chair. They look at options on an annual basis and brings it back to the board just to make sure that we're good with it. And that's sort of an informal thing, but our chair or co-chairs, depending on the year, they typically handle that. And then We do similar stuff as many of the other folks do with, 50-50, or with, the chapter provides X amount of money towards the initiative itself. I think we're like Joe about $1,000, which is budgeted. And we allow our members to contribute, whether if it's a food drive, bring in stuff. Last year was animals. We did an in-person event, and we collected money. Now, the one thing that our chapter does a little bit differently, and we've done this for a few years, is with our scholarship fund, because it's a rollover fund. You have to fill out the forms for the application to get scholarship funds, and then you have to fill in the deferment form. For those folks that might be retiring, that don't want to defer, that are not continuing education for whatever reason, maybe they went into the private sector, we allow them with our scholarship survey for deferment the ability to provide a portion of their scholarship dollars towards our community services initiative for the year. So we had one member that retired last year that had like $2,000 in her scholarship fund, and she donated the whole thing to our community service initiative. So instead of it going back into the chapter bucket, it went straight to there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tabitha. I think the other thing that she mentioned that no one else had mentioned either is the use of a committee, of having a community service committee within your board. Might be something, especially Kelly, with a group like you, as you guys are growing a little bit and doing so much, it might be of value to put a committee and some people around that.
We do. We have
Yeah.
It's part of our events and fundraising, and they do our outreach as well. So
Good.
yeah, we designed that this year.
Well, good. Thank you guys for sharing. All right. Any questions,
Welcome.
concerns, comments, headaches? All right. If not, then I'm going to open up another subject matter. So there was another post in Insight Community. It was not necessarily looking for this, but I think this is an issue all of our chapters are struggling with, and that's the emerging or young professionals within your chapter, whether it's a formal program or what are you doing with this. I think the biggest question I have is how you're defining them. I always get asked, what does young professional mean? What does emerging leader mean? And how do we define who they are? So I want to open it up to, what is your chapter doing in this world? What are some of the programs that you have in place? We know that these emerging leaders and young professionals are the ones that we're going to be leading these chapters in the future, and to have that succession planning in place. So what is everybody doing in that world? Or struggling with?
This is Lori. AZNIGP has a young professionals committee.
Okay.
We've recently started speaking about changing the format. It used to be anyone under 40. They would do events every year, and they worked closely with our mentor committee. And our mentors would attend those social events that they did for the young professionals, just to be the mentors in the group. But we are discussing having it be more of a, not young, but new. So it doesn't matter on age. Because we had a lot of people who are new to procurement, but they're not necessarily under 40. And we didn't want to exclude anybody from getting those young professional, new professional tips and tricks and mentoring that was available to them with the young professional committee. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
That's okay. Penny, also, you mentioned that yours is under 40 and less than 5 years in procurement. So very similar. Is there any programs for specifically that you do for that age group, Penny, that the chapter has in place?
Well, sadly, I am the chair of that committee, and I am the committee, and I'm getting too dang old to be the chair of that committee. But anyway, we have, I've got a a couple of our young people recommended we set up a Discord group for that so that they can chat on that. And we all have agreed that we won't let the older people like me in there. I am like the monitor. And so if there's something comes up and they do want like some mentoring from some of us, then we will jump in and do that. But we still haven't gotten that off the ground. Hopefully we're going to get that started kind of here in the next month or so, but we do have it set up so that they can chat on that and it's kind of their area. So they don't feel like, you know, I'm asking a dumb question. I don't want to ask this question. So we're going to try that and see how that works. Also our program team has done an amazing job of doing monthly virtual sessions. And so they're a lot of introductory, a lot of, you know, if you're with a city, what is state law in Tennessee? And if you're with a county, so that has, and in fact, Brooke Smith's doing an AI session this next week for us. So we've done a lot of things like that as well. And they've had pretty much a monthly session for the past year, and they've got them scheduled out through the end of this calendar year.
Good. I love to hear that. And Discord, just for those that may not know, that's just another group chat feature, correct, Penny? Okay. Is there something special about that's up and coming? I'm not a Discord
I don't know.
girl.
My
I don't-
son's on it and he says everybody's on it. So that's what we, and one of my staff
Discord.
members.
Yeah, if you're talking about new to procurement and up and coming young folks, that's something that they use a lot.
Oh,
And
okay.
Discord's used a lot by gamers, like people that play a lot of the video games. It's been around for years. But you can do a lot of cool stuff on it, like make servers, special servers for different items, and you can go in there and there's all kinds of coding that you can stick in there to do special stuff. And it's really a neat platform, and it's not too difficult to learn if you want to take the time to get in there and kind of play with it, because I've made several because of the games that I play. I've made several servers and just kind of get in there and play around with the coding and stuff. So it's really neat. It's a great
Cool.
option for younger people, I think.
What else is our chapters doing with YPs and emerging leaders within their chapter? Special programs, events? Are people struggling with this area?
Well, I think it's important to get the people involved in committees and so forth. You know, you want to make sure the people that are attending, that are showing up to the meetings, that you can get them involved, because the more involved they are, the better the opportunity that they will keep coming back and so forth. So that we found is very important.
Absolutely. And that's building that succession planning, you know,
Right.
is getting them in the pipeline to take in volunteer leadership roles eventually, and to get them in. I'm curious for anything specific. Penny, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but anything specific that they're holding for this group that is unique to them, that other members don't come to, that other chapters may want to duplicate or mimic an emerging leader? Is it a mentorship program? Is it just special education or events that they're doing for them? Curious if anybody's doing anything like that. Nothing? Quiet group today, or this is an area where everybody's kind of stuck on. Nope. Nothing specific.
Hi, Jennifer. My name is Elizabeth. I'm with the Northern California chapter. Nice to see everybody this morning. So I'm new on the leadership for Northern California. I'm the treasurer, but Desiree and I are here representing our chapter today. And we are looking to attract growth in this area, right? We want to attract some of those new emerging leaders. And so some of the ways that we're doing that is trying to outreach to people to get them to join our chapter. And then as far as the trainings that our chapter will be putting on. So we have an education committee that's working to put together like a new buyer basics type of thing. And I think that always does well to attract people to the resources that NIGP is providing. So that's one thing that we're doing, but I would love to hear what anybody's doing to actually get more membership in this this age group, this age bracket, or people that we're seeing a lot of people that are above 40 get into public procurement. In Northern California, we've got Silicon Valley, so we've got a lot of tech stuff happening with layoffs and things. People have worked in private sector procurement for a long time and now trying to make a transition. And so I don't necessarily think that we're talking about just people under 40 here. We do have people that would attend those types of trainings and be interested in joining NIGP that may be new to public procurement, but not necessarily right out of college or something like that. So, but I'd be interested to see how you're getting that membership in.
I think that's a great segue to just talk about membership growth in general. Any, I don't know if we have any membership chairs on the call, but what are chapters looking to expand their membership? That's certainly going to include new leaders and young professionals, but any programs out there for outreach that chapters are doing? Any new ideas to bring in members to your chapter?
So I'm the vice president of membership for Copper Chapter in Southern Arizona.
Okay.
I've only been VP of membership for 3 months, so I can't say I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But what I did so far, because I'm new to Arizona, I've only been in the state for 3 years. I thought, let me identify every single agency in my area, in our Copper Chapter service area. Every school district, every city, every county, every college, to see if they're interested in being a member of Copper Chapter. So I've got a spreadsheet and I'm sending that out to our membership committee. And we updated our membership brochure, and I'm going to hit my committee up to hit all of these agencies. Not like a salesman, just send them the brochure online. We can find an email on their website and say, hey, did you know about Copper Chapter? Did you know that there's a group of professionals that are in your field that can help you? We can come, things like that. So our target for the year is to go through this spreadsheet and hit every agency who isn't a member now to see if they want to join Copper Chapter. So that's our goal. We also got a list of people who are national NIGP members, but not Copper Chapter members. So we're also going to target them as well. It's a little difficult for us because the Capital Chapter, which is in mid-Arizona, and Copper Chapter is in the Tucson, Arizona, they cross over a little bit. And, sometimes we really try not to step on their toes and try not to steal their people. And they try not to steal our people. Or maybe they want to join both. So sometimes there's a little crossover. So that's what we're trying to do for the next year.
Penny, a couple things. One, and then Desiree, I see that you came off and we'll go to you. I love that you went back to the basics. I think after COVID, a lot of chapters have had to kind of reformat themselves all over again. And I think going back and let's just go back to the drawing board. What are all our potentials? And then map out a way to engage them. And that could be through emails. Joe, if you're still on, I know Tampa did outreach to agencies with the president and the ambassador together to talk about the benefit of NIGP and the chapters. But it's just going back and re-engaging those that maybe have expired for a couple of years, who haven't been around, or those brand new that may just not know about you. But I like that aspect of just looking at it from the ground level, starting almost over again.
Yeah, you described it the right way. We did a little tour of agencies that some of them maintained membership each year, but they didn't come to meetings, they didn't participate. And then others we saw as, potential agencies that would be interested in ours and in close proximity to us in our area, if you will. And I went as chapter ambassador to tell them about, being a member of national and all of those benefits. And Tara Camp went along, and she was our current president, and she did the chapter benefits, and we made a PowerPoint, and we did a little visit tour like that to reach out to those folks.
I love that, Joe. And you can even do those virtual now. You don't even have to do those in person, but any way to make that connection. Kenny, another thing that I've seen is that depending on how big your group is, is to actually divide that up amongst your board, and each of you have 5 or 6 agencies that you then maybe do a follow-up call and say, hey, you should have gotten our email and our brochure. Do you have any questions? We have an upcoming meeting, making it a little bit more personal. I know Kentucky does that very successfully with their kind of phone tree to their members, whether it's new or promoting something. So you may want to take that to that next level.
And we also invite them to attend one Copper chapter meeting for free to see if they're interested in it. That's a fun thing our secretary did. I think it's a wonderful option for them. So they can see before they commit.
Desiree?
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. So this is Desiree. I'm from NorCal chapter. We're here with Elizabeth. So one thing that we had been talking in our chapter is the difference between the parent NIGP membership cost and the chapter costs that some of us charge. And we feel like there may just be a little bit of opportunity to maybe incentivize the chapter fees, not necessarily for the chapters to take a loss, but if you are a membership of a chapter, maybe a reduction in our parent NIGP cost. So that was something also that we had kind of kicked around too, that was a food for thought that we were talking about possibly doing, but maybe need to get involved with the NIGP team at the more larger level.
Desiree, it's something we're kicking around as well, is this, there is a lot of confusion sometimes about membership, and we're seeing, especially this, we're talking about those YPs coming in and don't understand that why when they belong to one, they don't belong to the other. And we've historically called that a dual membership. And that certainly has been something that we have kicked around for 16 years since I've been here, and 15 years in my other agency. It's a hard transition mentality for some chapters to adjust to, or agencies or individuals. Desiree, I'm going to connect you with Belinda Seitz, our director. We're actually trying to think about piloting some of this type of, or experiencing some type of this dual membership in various, what could it look like? What does it mean to the Institute and their pricing structure, to the chapter? Is it a one, you get both? There's lots of scenarios out there. And she's collecting chapters that possibly would like to be part of that. And I will put you guys names down for that. Actually the Southern California, the other California chapter is interested in that as well. So certainly want to bring that to her attention. But yeah, it's something that our member council's really been kicking around as well.
Great. And I do see April Pay, who's our chapter president, that Joyce just joined also. And I was just going to mention to that, Jennifer, we as California, a large state, we have 2 different chapters. We have the Southern California region and the Northern California, which is us. So just trying to make sure that we're clear and clean on, you know, not just a California chapter, but a NorCal versus SoCal kind of a situation. So definitely some cleanliness we could do.
Well, and we're looking to possibly change their name to Southern California to better to define them a little bit better. So that piece of that could clean up, but I think there could be some clearer indications with membership as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was talking to April when I first joined. I was like, wait, so I signed up for the California chapter thinking it was like a state chapter, and I signed up for the NorCal chapter because that's our chapter. And then I'm an NIGP member too, so I could definitely see where members get confused as to not just a dual, but maybe a tri membership as well.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Thank you so much for bringing that to light.
Thank you. No, and I will definitely share that. How about some other discussion about membership growth and some programs people are putting out there are trying to grow membership? Teresa talked about that, cleaning up membership lists, look who's active and retired. I think that's really good, Teresa, is to kind of identify to Joe's point, not just maybe who hasn't been a member, but who's paid their dues but are not coming. Why are they not coming? Are they not coming because they're not getting communications? Maybe you're not offering what they need. You know, we have this issue with the Institute. When you have an agency membership, somebody signs you up, but maybe everything's not getting trickled down, or it's not being shared the value of the chapter or of what you have to offer. So there's a lot of things you can find in kind of drilling down into that data. But any other things that anybody wants to share, a sample or example of what they're doing, or who's had some growth?
Jennifer, this is James at Central Gulf Coast chapter in Florida. I want to mention one of the things that was a consideration that I had. Well, my staff here at my Walton County office, we work Monday through Thursday, right? 10-hour days. So we're off on Fridays. And what I was finding was that I have a lot of employees here who weren't able to participate in chapter meetings, for example, or events that were scheduled on Fridays because we're not able to pay them time and a half or additional hours for participating in those events. So one of the things that I worked with on our chapter was to just look at our scheduling for our events and our chapter meetings and say, hey, we need to consider those agencies like my own, but others as well, who, folks are eager and ready to learn and to participate, but they may not be able to travel to different sites in the area to go to the meetings. So consider your schedules and also be flexible, be able to move those meeting dates around. So what we ended up doing was changing our days. So instead of having our chapter meetings on Fridays, we would have them on several days during the week, and everybody in the chapter would agree on what days those would be. So that's just something to consider that might actually help. If one of the heartburns or issues is in attendance for getting new members is scheduling, then consider being able to be flexible and move your dates around. So.
James, I like it. It's just like Kenny. I think it's going back to some basics. Sometimes it could be as simple as when, where, and what time you're having the meeting. It really could be that easy of an issue that you just change that around a little bit or offer it multiple different times and locations to hit everybody. That could be a very easy fix sometimes if you're needing or hurting for engagement of people not being able to come to events. Anybody else want to share something on membership recruitment?
So Jen, in West Virginia, we're struggling. And so we have a brand new board this year, and that was one of our biggest initiatives was to increase our membership. And we have done all of the things that everyone has said here today. We did the national list and we sent out a blast email. We got like 6 new members. People were like, I didn't even know there was a local chapter. And we're still following up with the people who didn't respond. I also went through an old membership roster and identified people who had left the chapter and reached out to them personally and said, hey, we're revamping the chapter. We really want you to get involved again. You've got good information for us. Come back. And we picked up a couple of members. I also went to our state procurement office, has a list of all procurement officers in the state. And I just did a blast email and said the same thing. Hey, did you know we existed? Did you know this is what we can offer? And then also we did what James just said. I did a Survey Monkey and said, hey, what day and times works best for you guys? And we did the exact same thing. We identified that people were working from home and we always did Thursday at 2:00, the third Thursday at 2:00, and that wasn't working for us. So now we alternate Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And the big thing that's made a big difference for us is we've added a virtual component to our meetings. We didn't have that before, and that has increased our engagement so much because people will jump on a call, in a heartbeat. So we truly have put all the strategies that everyone has suggested to work, and it really has made a big difference. So they work, you just got to do them.
Thanks, Kelly, for sharing. And anybody who's been around me this last year, or had me at a presentation or speaking, I've talked about that virtual is not going away. We all have a desire and need and want to be in person. We like to be in person, but what COVID taught us is that so much can be done virtually. And now that you've teased us with that, and the capabilities are there and the technology is there, it's really, I think, of detriment to a chapter if you turn your back on that. And Kelly, to your point, I'm seeing a lot of chapters. Central Florida is a prime example of this, where they have just as much attendance in person that they do virtually. And that has been strong for them. You cannot kind of turn that away if that's going to be how some of your members are going to engage. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share a little bit about their member engagements or a question of maybe something somebody shared?
Jennifer, this is Desiree again too. I'm sorry, just wanted to pivot to Ed Pro D. I'm wondering if groups are finding low participation or low attendance in their Ed Pro D sessions as they schedule them out. And maybe is that directly linked to low membership, participation, and what that's all looking like for people too. I know in NorCal we're experiencing that. We've hosted a couple of sessions. The first one was, board members and those that work with us. And then the second one, we attempted similar situation, not really getting a lot of our members that are not affiliated with the chapter per se at, a staffing level or a board member. So just curious what other people are experiencing there.
Desiree, perfect pivot to another subject. Thank you for doing that segue. So let's talk professional development. What is everybody seeing in attendance? High, low, the same? What can we share on that? You guys are a quiet group this Friday.
Hey, Jen, it's Tab. So we're still doing the hybrid meetings, which is in person and virtual. We give people the same amount of points for attendance for each. It does not matter if they come in person. They need to pay for lunch. If they're not in person, they need to bring their own lunch and don't think that we're going to provide it to them at their office. So I get a few comments that say, "Hey, Tab, I'm waiting for my lunch. Where is it?"
Tabitha, are you seeing a decrease in attendance though?
I think it depends more on what we're offering. I don't think I'm seeing a decrease. I think maybe a little bit. I think our last workshop had a little bit of a decrease in attendance, but we didn't market it as we normally do. We had the business council and the Florida Attorney General. It was actually a very good presentation, but I'm not handling that portion anymore. And I just don't think we marketed it well.
Penny, I'm sorry, Tabitha, was there something else?
No, that's good.
Thank you. Penny, you're going to share?
Sure. So our attendance is kind of back to pre-pandemic levels again, which is nice to see. But again, like I said, we're doing those monthly virtual sessions. Those have been really popular, and we're averaging at least 20 people a week per session, and sometimes upwards of 40. So for us, that's a pretty good number. Our typical membership meetings are usually about 30 to 40 people. And even with the in-person piece, I think our last one we had close to 30 in person, and then we had about 5 or 6 virtual.
Penny, can I just ask, I'm curious, like number of members, like on your roster of actual members, that maybe that's where I'm missing the mark.
I think ETPA, I think we're close to 150, but that's been an average number for years for us. So, but what is kind of cool is we are seeing newer people, new people that have not attended in the past. But again, I think some of that is topic because like I said, we're doing, kind of focusing on more intro topics. I will tell you, for TAP, so I'm a member of 2 chapters, sorry. We have East Tennessee and then TAP, our statewide one. So, TAP, we are doing our spring conferences in a couple of weeks. Uh-oh, I got to get ready. And Terry McKee and I are doing a half-day session on the day before conference on federal spend. And we have about 40 people registered. So that's, and the chapter's actually charging a fee for people to attend it as well, just to cover cost of location and everything. So I think a lot of times it's topic. We weren't expecting that many people. And so it's gone over pretty well.
And just right, if I can add something, we always say survey your members. So you survey your members at the first of the year and you ask them, what content do you want to hear about? And you maybe have check boxes or fill in the blanks. And then you come summer and you're trying to plan something, what they wanted. I think this kind of goes to what Penny's talking about. When you talk to them in January, may not be what's present right now in front of them that they're struggling with, or something new has come up. And I'm wondering if it's more beneficial, especially Desiree, you guys are still a small enough group, that, maybe every quarter there's an email blast of, what are the hot topics right now that you can put out next month that might be more beneficial, because it's something we see. Everybody wants what's happening or what they're doing in their job today that makes it easier. And sometimes you don't know about that until it's actually in front of you. And I think topics make a big difference about why people are coming or not coming. Or to James' point, is it when you're having it, what time you're having it, the location? I had one chapter that talked about as soon as they changed locations because everybody complained about parking, it doubled their attendance. It was something that little that made a difference. Or to Tabitha's point, are you marketing it enough? Are you getting it out there? I know you guys have your websites out there, but how much is really getting pushed out to your agencies outside of, as we know, it's the board and your employees or who are coming to everything that you are engaging. It's those other groups that you want to get kind of roped in as well. It could be a multitude of things, it really could be.
Great. This is all good
Amen.
information.
Amen. And hey, Jen, excuse me, to that point, literally working on an email with one of our members, Abby in Escambia County. And she actually mentioned it in an email this week that, hey, our county, for example, Escambia County's website and public information officer, Walton County's website and my public information officer, we have a lot of people in our county who have signed up to get notifications for agendas and meetings, and we post our solicitations there and our Q&As. So, Abby sent out an email the other day and suggested that other members consider even using our own websites outside of NIGP and post upcoming chapter meetings and what our agendas are going to be for those meetings. I personally, when I was in Santa Rosa County a number of years ago, would do that very thing and post our internal procurement lunch and learns and procurement 101s with our internal folks like our public works director or our contracts manager. I would invite them to be a speaker or to be a panel or a guest to answer questions. And that would be our agenda. And I put it on the website. Now, again, that was lunch and learns for Santa Rosa County and procurement. And, what is an RFP and what is an RFQ? But that theory or that agenda type thing, that broadcast can be used for our NIGP chapters on our agency sites and in cooperation with our agency directors who may be willing to participate in those. And again, so we have a lot of people in the county who are signed up to get bid notices and meeting and agenda notices. So that's just another way to maybe get some outreach.
James, love that idea. Teresa posted, I love your numbers, Teresa. Do you know if you can attribute that to anything specific? I'm not sure of your exact membership size.
So on our list, we've typically had about 90 to 100. I would say we actually would have about 75 to 85 members the past few years that have registered for our chapter. Since the pandemic, we've probably been pushing 55 to 60 people showing up virtually. And we do a professional development every month. Past couple of years, we've gone back to a couple of in-persons, and we probably have about 50 people showing up to those regularly. We also
applaud you. Chapters would kill to have half of their membership and participation. Something is good in the water there, or what you're doing, that we've got to attribute it to something. 50% participation is really good every month.
Well, it's probably location, because two of our biggest contributors to our membership are right next door to where we hold the meeting. So it's easy for them all to come. So that's probably a good 80% of our membership are those two agencies just walking over. But we've had a few others in different areas of town, and it just depends if we give them enough notice, if they have it, and they're willing to go, if there's free parking. But where we have it in person, it was the place that we used to have it before the pandemic. So everybody already knows the routine.
Gotcha.
But lunch also helps. So sometimes we'll cover the whole lunch. but normally we'll put it in our budget and we'll cover the majority of lunch and just have the members pay $5. And it's usually like a Jimmy John's lunch, a sandwich or something like that. And, people are happy with that. They'll go to get lunch.
Yep, food is always a draw, is it not? Teresa, I think you also said something kind of around about because you have maybe two local agencies or large agencies that feed your membership, there is something to say that those agencies have buy-in to the chapter. So there is something to say for, you may have a large group, but they pay dues, but they don't come. There's a misconnect then somehow for those chapters of if you have 10 people, why only 2 come to everything? And it's making that connection maybe more personally with that agency of, you've spent the money, why are they not coming? Are we not offering the right things? And I said it at the beginning, and sometimes you just need to pick up the phone. It's old school type of thinking, and just those emails are just not going to cut it. But say, hey, we see you renewed this year. We'd love to have more participation. What is it that we could be offering for all 10 of your employees with your agency to be there to have that full buy-in? I think that makes a big difference. Thank you for sharing, but love the numbers though. That's wonderful, wonderful to hear.
I wanted to jump off of Tracy because Tracy is the secretary for our Copper chapter, and she works in the big Tucson area. As she was saying, most people either are members from City of Tucson or Pima County, which is right there. But me, I'm in Sierra Vista, which is about an hour and a half away from Tucson. And I market down here that the benefit of the Copper chapter is that the meetings are always virtual, because for us, a lunch meeting, it winds up being about 6 hours away from the office, an hour and a half to get up there, an hour meeting, and an hour and a half to get back. So what my neighbors down here in my area down here in Cochise County, I tell them the benefit of the Copper chapter is that most of the meetings are virtual. And if we do have an in-person meeting, we try to carpool. So then we try to hit up all the people in my area. Hey, who's going to the in-person Copper chapter meeting? Let's get a van. Let's carpool up there so that we all don't feel like we all have to drive a car. So that's how I'm trying to engage our people, even though we're really far away from the main chapter.
I love that. It also creates that community, Kenny, of being together and in this together. So I like that. Desiree, I want to also offer something else to you and to anybody else. I don't think that we utilize our chapter leaders insight community enough. So I would challenge you maybe just to post a question and say, hey guys, for the next 6 months, what topics are you presenting on? What are your lunch and learns? What are your brown bags? What are your roundtable sessions? And just start seeing what those topics are. Maybe they're things that you hadn't thought about before, or maybe they're the rising hot topics, but that might also just help to kind of flush some things out in your head that maybe we just haven't thought of, some other subject matters that people would want to be engaged at. But I want to get some more engagement on that insight community. That's why I brought those 2 questions that came up, because there's 500 people on there that are all in the chapters. So they're all dealing with the same thing that you are.
Yeah, good recommendation. Thank you. And Penny was asking also if we had a listserv on the NIGP site, and April said we do have one. It's just we think that the members don't know, our members for NorCal don't know about it. So I think maybe instead of us focusing on the Ed Pro D piece right now, maybe our focus needs to pivot towards membership recruitment and see if we can do some of that stuff. Maybe do some lower level Ed Pro D stuff for the time being until we can bolster our membership.
And Desiree, I know you guys are on the Club Express website, and I don't think anybody from New Mexico is on here. Gary, their president, they actually did a lot of training and marketing about what tools are on their website for their members to use. And maybe that's kind of taking that step back, is going through, what are some of the highlights or perks of our website? And if they don't know about the listserv or community in which you can be pushing out these questions, what's the hot topic this month? Is just educating that they have this tool to use there. They found it very beneficial to step back and to do that and to spend some time just on, hey, here's the new website and here's what we've got. I feel like a couple times we've talked today about it's going back to some basics. It's going back to just kind of the ground level to rebuild, that can really make a difference. So. In April, yeah, we do. You did message me about the SME program. That is certainly, we launched that at Academy. The SME program is a new program that we have that's an extension of our chapter ambassadors. And we encourage any chapters to fill that out, to do some one-on-one with some of our SMEs in areas that you may be struggling with. So if there are very specifics that we want to get some more one-on-one personal time coaching, maybe pairing with another chapter that seems to be excelling in, just like Teresa talked about in Copper chapter, every month they've got a subject that people want to hear about. What is that? What could you learn from them? Please feel free to submit that, and then we can pair you up with a SME. Guys, we just have a few minutes here. Is there anything else that somebody wanted to comment on? I think we've had some good discussion and good sharing, but is there anything specific that anybody else wanted to have before the end of the hour with us today?
Jen, this is Tabitha. I was talking to my Pro D chair, and a long time ago, they had mentioned when we got on the Club Express that NIGP had mentioned that when we had classes through NIGP, that NIGP was going to post those classes to the website, so we did not have to. And it's come to our attention that that's not happening, and that we'll actually have to post those events to be shared. Can you look into that and confirm? Because I remember my girl was like super excited that woohoo, she did not have to do that anymore, that was going to be taken care of. And we've come to realize, whoa, it's not happening.
Okay, yeah, let me look into that. I know we have an office hours coming up and we can certainly inquire about that. I don't know how that's done on the back end for both groups, so let me look into that, Tabitha.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'll just
Okay.
let her know that you're looking into it. No
Yep,
worries.
absolutely.
We just want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do.
And it could be something as easy, we just haven't talked about it or explained that it can be done. I don't know anything about those kind of details, but I'll work on that tab.
Thank you.
All right, guys. And if nothing else, then thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it. And have a great weekend. Hope to see you next month.
You
Bye,
too.
guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.